And I've been so impressed, I will send it to Ken Clark and we'll try and get it shown in as many schools as possible.
Trees uprooted and packy sprayed shop window blinds, drunks and druggies, people of all kinds, with kids and nappies and cats and dogs, old grannies, hags and council black bags. I've added to here with cutbacks and snags and poll tax disputes, houses of ill repute, neglected greens and what could have beens. In a place where people come and go, yet the locals tend to stay warped in time and stuck in their way, where theft and robbery is a means of income which never reaches totals with the week's debt sum, whilst they wait, in anticipation of a happy and fulfilled outcome, dreams which stay dreams, and wishes which are wished. The company's work could be seen as a means of escapism from the real world, from Townhill or from wherever. Some sort of want to be like myself within performing arts, either acting or singing or whatever. And dance has helped me a lot with sort of my body language and just confidence, and just when you walk on stage, like you are that person. And sort of my body language has been much better since I started dancing.
The man's too big, the man's too strong.
When you just take the words of the song literally, yes, man is too big and man's too strong for his own good. He's too big for his own boots. When a 7, 8, 9-year-old is brought up in the sort of the background that Townhill sort of evokes on somebody, it's such a sort of physical, macho, defensive image that dance sort of doesn't tend to fit in with that category of person. I have observed from my background, from my environment over the years, sort of all the mind games and the power games that are played with people in those situations. I can also, as a person, as a performer, identify with who's on the receiving end of it. For me personally, it's a challenge to be on the other side and to be the tough, sadistic sort of bastard and throw the punches and beat a prisoner up. The area that we're in is sort of dominated by joyriders. I can understand the sort of adrenaline, the buzz that they get when they're in that car going 100 miles an hour, whatever. But surely that buzz, it comes from inside your endorphins. You can get that same buzz from boxing, you get that same buzz from acting, from dancing, whatever. I don't think there's a big enough connection between sort of men dancing in clubs and men dancing on stage at the moment. But all the same, you can walk into Barons or Ritzies and find sort of men dancing to the grid together, holding hands, running around in circles after they've had a few drinks. I think that's what we'd like to change by the end of the year. No matter whether it's sports, dance, whatever it is, provided you do some sort of training, whether it be running, swimming, dancing, boxing, whatever, you've got a certain amount of fitness there. You've got to be able to do a lot of things in dance that you wouldn't generally do in some sports, such as boxing. Just because all of us in DYNION can take part in a 10-hour rehearsal doesn't necessarily mean that we could go 10 rounds in a boxing ring. But one who goes 10 rounds in a boxing ring doesn't necessarily mean that they could carry 10 stone on their back. What have they done with My Soldier Son, that extract, and that dance piece? We sort of address the idea of Nobody gains anything from war and beating somebody up and murdering somebody, whether it's through a military reason or through any other reason. We address the issue of violence and the effect that has on a person. There's another quote which comes to mind, and is, if one man could hold in his mind throughout the space of one day both the horror of war and the enjoyment of normal life, the tolerance between the two would be intolerable. Sort of about going back to the Germans and the war and marching all these people through Poland, just marching them. It was in winter, they were all chained up and they would just march them away from the camp to hide all the bodies and the evidence until they just dropped dead, and they're marching and marching. I mean, nobody gains anything from that, and even though we're not saying anything, we're still telling that story stronger than ever in the medium of dance. When we walk into rehearsals and the dance, no matter what is sort of affecting you outside, you can just sort of forget about that and find the peace and tranquility when you dance together. It is an escape from that sort of, not the horror, but the unpleasantness of sort of the real world. There's a quote by Martha Graham, which is, "I see the dance being used as a means of communication between soul and soul to express what is too deep, too fine for words."